Careful,
got
let's
an
do
hour.
this.
Welcome back, our fellow Americans. You're watching a bonus episode of Diversity Catalog. We thought it'd be very patriotic of us, very American, to react to last night's presidential debate. Day of recording is 9/11. Moment of silence. Why are you laughing?
I didn't think you were going to say that. You gut checked me.
We got to give the timeline. Yep, the presidential debate was last night on September 10th, where we saw Kamala Harris. What is funny?
Nothing's funny.
And
Crazy
former
Kamala.
President Donald Trump go off, talked about a lot of things, a lot of big topics. I consumed a lot of tweets. I watched a lot of the news last night after the debate, trying to figure out who won, if anyone won, who it's going to affect. There was a lot to consume. We're going to try to go through as much of it as we can. And I don't think we're really here to give opinions. We're kind of just here to react and joke about it. I think opinions probably will be given.
I was going to say,
It'd be hard not to.
I'm not going to tell you who to vote for, if that's what you came here for.
right.
But yeah, you guys watched it,
For one of us.
right? You did watch it.
Yes.
I didn't watch the last 15 minutes of it.
That's fair.
There was-
Yeah, I got to the point where I was like,
There was a point where I almost turned it off, to be honest. I was like, this
Honestly,
close.
I think if you're a serious watcher, it's probably the worst thing to watch.
Yeah.
I watched every second.
It's kind of
never
like,
good.
honestly, like a stand-up comedy episode.
It really
It was funny. That's why I liked it.
Yeah.
I
no,
took
it's fun.
Yeah.
It's like I saw a tweet. It was like, watch the debate as self-harm.
It is.
Okay.
That's funny.
There was. I texted one of our group chats because I was already going on for like an hour,
Yeah.
and then the guy was like, "We'll be right back. We have a lot more to come."
Oh, yeah,
and I was
it
like,
took-
"Bro,
it
I'm like,
took
what
a
do you mean a
long-
lot?"
It took a long time for them to take the first commercial break.
Yeah.
Like it was like
I
10.
thought it was done.
It was like 10:05. They were like an hour and.
I didn't even
5 minutes
notice.
in.
I was watching on my computer. I didn't even notice.
I thought that was
long
going to be
time.
it, and the guy was like, "Yeah, we still got a lot." I was like, "Oh fuck."
And I only knew because I was saying my fingers were moving like crazy because I took a ton of notes.
Notes of death. Yeah.
Guys, I took so many notes.
They made you
I
nicotine
can't guarantee
addiction.
they're good notes. I'd have some stuff to like jog my memory of what I thought throughout certain points of it. But let's start. Let's get into it. So the first, you knew what kind of debate it was going to be right away when they walked into the room, and Trump just was not expecting the
Oh,
handshake.
not at all.
I think they were saying afterwards, I don't remember what news station I watched, forgive me. I literally was flipping through like 5 or 6 of them, as well as being on YouTube. And I think they were saying it's been like the first time they've seen a handshake in a debate in like a while.
Oh, really?
Which, like, I kind of don't believe that, but I can't say I watch all of them. I don't know if Trump and Biden, like, weren't on shaking hand terms.
Well, to be honest, it's probably because the ones that I can remember in my head, I'm pretty sure they just walk up to their podiums and just kind of
Yeah.
go right there, and that's it.
But power move by Kamala, and I think...
Oh, she was like, "Yeah, you're
I was
shaking
gonna
my
say,
fucking
do you
hand."
think it's like
Yeah.
when they say in rock paper scissors shoot, you're supposed to go and say the guy nice shirt him.
No, what do you mean?
You rock paper scissors before you do the rock paper scissors shoot. You go nice shirt.
Nice. Oh, to throw them off their...
Oh,
throw 'em off
oh,
the game.
yeah.
That's what she was doing.
That's
you
what
think?
she was
The
doing.
Power move.
No, and let me tell you why. Because if you really watched
Should have pulled that up.
if you watched the debate closely, I think Kamala's overarching vibe she wanted to get across. They'll love that because all they say is that it's a campaign based on vibes.
Yeah.
I think the vibe she was trying to get across was like, I am the bigger
It's
person.
even kind of the meme of it.
You know? Do you agree
Yeah.
with that?
No, I see what
Because a
you're
lot
saying,
of the times, even throughout the debate, she kept going
Keeps
back
going.
about
Keep
how
finding the
Trump
meme.
was like, is just like belittling and name calling, and she kept saying how she wants to get away with that. So I thought, after watching the whole debate and consuming it, like, wow, like, she had a plan from the first
Oh,
second going in
100%.
there to shake his hand. And maybe it was kind of like a nice shirt type of thing, like
Oh,
to
shirt
throw
vibe,
him
yeah.
off guard. But I think she wanted to show to everybody, like, look, I'm not some petty candidate who's going to stoop to the lows that they associate with Trump.
She was
know
going.
what I mean?
She was making it a point to show like the stark differences between the two.
Right.
Yeah.
And I think that was glaring from the first second with the handshake.
100%.
So I think that's a good place to start. I don't
Take
know
that
if-
picture.
Yeah.
I can't find the meme for it, but you guys ever seen the pictures where it's like, oh, the
Let's see this. Pull
The
it.
male in the picture is like bending towards the woman.
Oh, like the line theory or
with the
whatever.
line
yeah.
theory and shit. They had it
Is that
for
what you're
this,
talking about? 'Cause
and they were
Trump's
like,
bent
"Oh,
over?
he's in cock shame. She's in a straight line.
That's
This is a
hilarious.
power move play." I love those graphs. Oh, he's leaning into his girlfriend. Yeah,
Yeah.
submissive.
Yep. Yeah.
You hear that
Beta cuck.
they made the podiums like the same. Like they made hers a little bit shorter, so it looked like they were the same height.
Oh, you can kind of tell in that picture that
I'm
This
looking
one's
at it.
way
One's-
smaller.
one's
She's
closer.
5'4",
What
and
is
he's
this,
like
force
6 foot something.
Yeah, but she's. I don't know.
They
True,
angled
he
it.
is
so
Derrick
it-
Henry.
Yeah,
I forgot that.
funny.
They said it's probably like the biggest like.
If she
height
kind of
disparity.
sized him up, wait, is she that short?
She's short. She's like 5'4".
Well, she's got heels on, so she's probably like.
5'6" max, but he's 6
You think
something.
she has 2-inch heels on?
I don't know what she has.
Maybe you know what 2 inches looks like to me, but those look like at least. 4s.
I guess I don't know what 2 inches looks like.
Those look like at least 4s, Josh.
But yeah, the handshake was funny. I think the debate kind of started off with a bang because that made me be like, "Oh shit!" Like that was kind of funny
Yeah.
Yeah.
that he just wasn't
At the
expecting
coin
that
toss,
at
he
all.
comes out. We'll take the ball and we'll score. God
Huh?
damn it.
Yeah,
Picks
but
it.
yeah, that's what got the ball rolling. Let me go in my bag of notes here.
His bag of tricks.
Yeah, I couldn't tell you the timeline how it went down.
Me
to be
either.
honest.
It was all a
bunch
blur.
of blur. Yeah.
I have a lot. I don't know what the first topic was. I'm assuming it was talking about policy. And I remember the first thing Kamala came out and said was she talked a lot about her mom being raised, or talked a lot about her mom raising her and her sister. I think she said her mother was a single mother, like couldn't afford a house, like they were middle class, like there was a plan here. Like she wanted to look like a bigger person. I think she really wanted to appeal to the middle class, people like us who are young and either young and have a young family, or young individuals like ourselves that are aspiring to have a family, aspiring to start a business, aspiring to buy a house. Because the first thing she started talking about was the $6,000 child credit,
Yeah.
Yeah.
which I hadn't seen anywhere else until this debate. Maybe I'm going to be honest, I don't consume a lot of this stuff. At least I didn't consume a lot of it prior to the debate. So
They've
that
talked about
was
it before,
interesting.
but they haven't given a figure. I don't think.
Yeah, I think she was saying that it'd be the most, like, it'd be the largest credit ever offered
Probably.
in history. So she started off with that, and then the bomb that she dropped that I think probably perked up a lot of people's ears in our generation was the $50,000 small business starter credit. I hadn't seen her say that. I didn't see that anywhere.
That was like new.
Yeah, I didn't see
for
that.
her.
Either. I remember when you said in the group chat, I was like, oh.
Yeah,
Understand
because
what
she
you're
came right out and said that. And her point from saying that, I have this written down in quotes, says Trump has no plan for the middle class. So you could tell like she was laying into that right away. She started talking about Trump's tariffs, and the tariffs that he set out would actually cost families $4,000 more a year. Again, these are not my stats. Don't come at me. I just wrote down what I saw. And yeah, she started talking about how she has a plan for the middle class and that Trump doesn't.
Yeah.
And I think she got that point across pretty well.
Right. Well, I think one of the main negative opinions of her was she didn't have a plan or something like that.
Yeah.
Right. And
She
I
had
think,
to come out here and set a plan up.
Like she didn't do any
Right.
interviews, this, that, whatever. Yeah.
Yeah.
Like she
'Cause
nobody knew.
yeah, and I think the point of this debate, at least what I was looking to get away of, like, from the debate was, well, let's figure out, like, does she instill confidence in me that she does have policies?
Yeah.
Yeah.
And if she has policies, like, do I like them? Do they pertain to me? And I think I still don't know, to be honest.
Okay.
But, like,
You wouldn't want to represent our small business?
I think she did a great job.
You think we get
Well,
a
I kind
$50,000
of thought
loan?
I
50K
was kind of thinking
Minority
like,
led?
I was actually kind of
Hold up now.
Listen,
Hold up.
I was actually kind of thinking like, would we each individually get 50,000?
No, I think as a
no,
business.
yeah.
50,000.
Got you.
It might be able to work the system.
But 50,000, we could.
We
do
gotta get
lot
a girl
with
in
that.
here and get the double spread on it.
Yeah, we could do a
The
lot. with
DEI 50,000.
Yeah, 50,000.
that. But yeah,
Shit.
Trump's response to that was
Twos and
that
threes be different.
he started talking a lot about the economy. That was kind of like his
Yeah.
fallback through
Yeah.
the debate of like, you know, the question of were you better off 4 years ago or now?
Yeah.
There's a lot of stuff like that. You know, he was leaning on the fact that, you know, he built one of the greatest economies, if not the best economy in U.S. history when he was in office. I get all that. So that was kind of the beginning of the debate. Then they started talking about abortion. That was a pretty big portion of it. This was the famous line that he made, the infamous line of,
Same.
you know, the babies come out and they decide what to do with them. And then the moderator was like, in no state is it legal to execute a child. All right, baby. I thought that was hilarious.
I'm not gonna lie. When I first heard that, I thought it was like because I was watching it not on what was it, ABC.
Yeah.
I was watching it on CNN, so I thought that was somebody off, like in the CNN studio that was like
no,
fact checking
that was the
live.
moderator.
And then they got the camera to the moderator. I was like, oh fuck, they're doing this. I was like, oh fuck.
No, I watched it on HBO.
Right away, I tried to Google like I'm like, who said this? I'm like, what is it? The quote has to be.
That's insane.
Is it? I was looking just at the quotes, like anything. I honestly couldn't find a quote.
Well,
I
like
didn't know the name of the guy.
Yeah.
It was a Virginia dude. And, well, before I guess he said it before too.
Yeah.
But he said it was a Virginia guy, and then this time it was a West Virginia guy. So now I don't know the name of him because the previous guy it was not a standing guy.
Yep. Yeah, and I want to stay on abortion for a little longer too. I have actually so much stuff written down about this. Trump's quote was that he's proud to be the most pro-life president ever because obviously I think it was when he was in office, the whole Roe v. Wade stuff being brought back to the states and the states getting to vote, and he was trying to talk about the positives with that. And then Kamala had a pretty good rebuttal talking about the actual firsthand experience of what it would be like for a young woman or a woman in general who lives in a state in which it's not allowed to have an abortion, and the cost and like the mental stress and what it would take
Potential
to
jail
go through
time,
to
too.
get to a state in which you could have the proper healthcare services provided for you. That was, I think, a huge portion of the debate, and the reason why I wanted to bring it up and talk about it is because something I said in the group chat to you guys, and I actually really believe this. Now, I'm not a female, and
Got him.
I don't know. Like, I'm not
Press the wrong
sure.
button.
How do I word this? Look, I'm not a female, but I have to imagine if I was a female under the age of like 35,
Oh, you just said,
I
yeah.
don't see what is attractive as a candidate for Trump. Like, and I think that's why Trump was trying to put those quotes in there of building the vibe is such a shitty word to use nowadays. It's such like a 2024 term to use. I hate having to use the word vibe. But I think Trump was trying to, when he was talking about abortion, I think that's where he was trying to attract female voters. Because I'm going to be honest, I don't know what would make you vote for Trump as a female if not the abortion policies. Am I an idiot for thinking that? I don't want to, like, I'm not
Yeah, I
trying
kinda
to,
think so.
I'm not trying to insinuate anything, but like, I imagine that's
You think women care about birthing rights?
Of course.
It's crazy. It's crazy.
Like, I think that's probably the most important, if not a very important topic for women in this country.
Right.
And I think Trump knows in his mind that if he doesn't nail his policy on something like abortion, he doesn't have a prayer in winning female votes.
Oh, well,
And I'm not even just saying that because I'm not even saying that females will see a female candidate and vote for her.
Right.
But if your vote was hinging on something like abortion, females' right, healthcare for women specifically in this country, like, you're going to vote for Kamala.
Well, for him, I don't even think until Kamala was like now the presidential elect, I don't think he really gave a fuck about appealing them because I never heard this talk from him really
Me either.
this strongly up until now.
What, being
And-
anti-abortion?
Yes. Like I've heard him say it before,
Yeah.
but him being so like strong about it, like in the way he explained it in this last debate, I haven't heard that yet. And it's to me showed like he's kind of like, oh fuck, like I need to make sure I'm getting like this group of voters here and this group of voters here. Because with Biden, I think he just knew it was going to be a clean slate.
Because, and I have written down here too, what Trump actually said in the debate is that Democrats are radical with abortion. Her vice president pick says abortion in the 9th month is fine. And this is where he said like that they believe execution after birth is okay, which obviously is not legal in any crevice of this country.
Yeah.
And then he went on to say that he only believes it's 6 weeks only. First 6 weeks, that's it. That's what he said. And he was talking about how, like, through the genius of the Supreme Court.
Wait, is he pro-abortion?
He was just saying that that's what his belief was.
He's pro just leaving it to the states,
Yeah.
which in turn, most of the states, especially southern states, are going to rule against abortion.
Yeah.
So like,
Because
if you're looking into it, he's definitely really not pro-life.
Yeah, I don't think he's pro-life, if I had to guess. Because he goes on.
Abortion. He's not really pro-life, so he's pro-abortion.
What does that mean?
What do you mean?
What are you talking about?
Well, the opposite of
for
pro-life.
abortion.
Yeah, he's for abortion. In the first 6 weeks.
Up to 6 weeks
Right.
is what he said. And I don't
But he
even.
wants to give it to states' rights.
But yes,
okay.
because he went on to praise the Supreme Court for bringing it back to the states.
Right.
Because he went on to say, this is an issue that tore the country apart for 52 years. Bring it back to the states where people can vote. And he said each individual state votes. This truly gave a voice to the people. And then that was his closing statement on abortion. That's when the moderator was like, in no state in this country is it legal to kill a baby after it's born.
Which is common sense. Obviously, that's not legal anywhere, and people aren't doing that legally.
Well, you would think it's common sense.
That's what I'm saying. And the point I was going to make is I don't know how to say this without
Say
sounding
it
like
out loud. See how it sounds.
piece of shit, but for majority, Trump thinks his supporters are fucking stupid.
Yeah.
Right.
To the point where he can say and do whatever he wants, and they're not going to go and look it up and get the actual information
Yeah,
on
But
it.
they don't.
I think that's
That's what I'm saying.
I think it's the
That's why he thinks he's these people are going to believe what I fucking say.
and I think that's just the majority of the voting populace.
People people don't care to look shit up.
And you were hold on really quick. The one more other thing I want to say because I'm looking at my notes before I forget. You were asking what his stance on abortion was.
Yeah.
He actually went on to say this a couple of times that it doesn't matter if he's for it because he brought it to the states.
Right.
That's what he was leaning on. He said he did something nobody thought was possible. It says not in favor of abortion ban. Issue has been given to the states. Says he won't have to turn down national abortion ban because it'll never happen. Because it's been brought to the
States, and someone can't rule on it themselves.
And I think the point he was trying to make is I get stuff done by bringing this issue to the states for people to vote on, whether it was abortion, whether it was X, Y, Z.
Who votes on that? I thought the people the governors or whatever of the states decide that.
Yeah, the governments do. The states.
So who votes on it? Enter them in their own. Do you know what I mean? People don't vote for it. Regular people, no.
So they would bring a bill, and then so you know how we had our primary the other day when we have our election.
Oh, it would be on tacked on the bottom of the thing.
Yeah.
Okay.
Is that your point?
That's a bad thing because at the end of the day, for women, they're women should be the ones deciding, and then you're opening that up to any man ever in that fucking state that is able to vote.
So if you remember, right, if you bring yourself back in time to the Roe v. Wade stuff, a lot of people were posting. A lot of people were posting the Instagram stories and shit of being yo, F these people that voted for this, because Kamala's response to abortion she nailed.
Well,
which
in my opinion, and I don't know if you remember it, but Trump was leaning on this fabulous Supreme Court, the fabulous work of the Supreme Court, right? And Kamala said, well, Trump actually hand-selected the 3 justices that would undo the protections of Roe v. Wade.
Right.
Says 20 states have Trump abortion bans to provide support for even rape and incest. And she basically gave a pretty... I wrote down gives a moving 2 minutes about abortion.
I did see that, yeah. Pretty
Speaking
detailed.
on the scenarios of young women who were
Yeah.
victims of sexual assault, incest, insert.
Was it a personal story she was telling?
She did tell a story about her friend. She had a friend when she was growing up. Let me read this before I blurt it out. Yeah, she says, would you support restrictions on a woman's body? Nowhere in this country is a woman this is what she said. Nowhere in this country is a woman taking a baby to term and then asking for abortion. She said it's insulting to women in this country that you would think they do that. She talks about, and then this is when she talked about women having to travel across state lines, maybe through multiple states to get to where they need to go to receive the treatment they need. So yeah, the abortion bit was pretty big. And then Trump blurted out, why won't they ask her if she'll allow abortion in the 7th, 8th, 9th month? And that's where things kind of got out of hand for a second. I don't know if you remember that part of it.
She technically didn't answer that, which people were saying on Twitter, why didn't you answer that?
We'll get to we'll get to the one of the overarching themes at the end of the questions that were asked to each candidate and who was forced to answer what, right? Because that was a big thing after it. But
I said Trump wasn't pro-life. I meant he was. I just remembered I said that. I messed up.
I think you said
I get the terms confused all the time because I'm a fucking idiot, to be honest. And I
pro-life and abortion; those are the two.
This is gospel, but
yeah, anti. Yeah. I remember watching that when he asked why didn't they ask her about the 7th, 8th, and 9th month abortions. I don't understand why that's a hard topic to say. Yeah.
What do you mean?
Like if the woman is having a child and it's gonna kill her, she should have an abortion.
Oh, for medical, yeah. If the lady's going, yeah.
No one's I don't think you can physically. I mean, yeah, you probably physically could have an abortion. No doctor's gonna do an abortion 7 months in.
Exactly.
I don't think that technically is legal by any means, except for if the wife's gonna die.
Yeah. But then even at that point,
I don't even understand. I don't understand the base of the question. It's
at
not
that
like a
point,
question,
can't the person just be like, "Fuck, have the baby anyway"? I don't want to like.
Right, they can
make that decision.
They can go for that too.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, yeah, I think it. I'm trying to remember because I know there's specific cases where it's like if the baby's basically like not gonna survive,
Right.
You can
Yeah.
technically terminate it.
Yeah.
Yeah, or not a stillbirth where it's like it's gonna be born and basically
Die like right away,
instantaneously
basically.
die
Yeah.
or something like that,
Yeah.
or it's like lungs aren't developed or something.
Yeah.
But anyway, I mean, yeah, I don't understand how that's a hard question just to answer yes.
Yeah.
Right.
Like
Being against it.
no, being for it.
Okay, you're saying like in the instances.
Yeah, because it's not
Right.
like
Okay,
when you have abortion, whenever it's like, I mean, in my mind, 7th, 8th, and 9th month, it's basically a child.
Yeah.
I mean, I feel like what preemie babies are like a month and a half or something like that. What were you?
Yeah, I was like, yeah.
That's like way past
Early.
the.
We were like
the
8
time.
weeks early. 7 months.
Yeah.
Yeah, there you go.
I know.
So I mean, at that point, in my mind, it's basically a child. So I mean, that's not really gonna happen. I'm pretty sure the only way you basically could. I mean, yeah, you could probably do it, the basic abortion things, but in the way that it's used, it's not an abortion. It's more of just a termination, which is I think is completely different. So I don't know. I don't see why it was a hard question to
For her to
answer.
just say yes.
Yeah.
To why
It seems like a gotcha. It's like he phrased it like a gotcha. Like,
Well,
why
'cause-
is she answering that?
like all right. Say she said yes. Boom,
Yeah.
That's clipped. And it's like, oh,
it-
she's trying to abort babies in the 9th month. Like,
Yeah,
that's,
then you see who's fucking stupid.
yeah, but like it would be better for her just to like sit there and not say anything than her say yes and they get clipped and then they run
Well,
off
it'd be
that.
funny her to just
put
say
it in
yes and
ads.
go, "You're stupid," because this is what it means. If I was up there, I'd be like, "Yeah."
I mean,
why
yeah.
wouldn't I?
I mean, yeah,
Right.
but it was kind of like the end of the round.
Oh, the
she
round's
didn't
still
step
not
over. I
matter.
think she stepped over later on, but she was like not really. Well, I mean, I guess we'll get into it, but
Yeah.
wasn't really like stepping past the boundary.
What was the other thing you said? You said
Oh,
something else.
I also was gonna say,
Gone.
I like the point she made about like the workers in the hospital like having to make the decision like whether or not like we can abort this baby because it's gonna hurt the woman, but they're like we might fucking get in trouble or be risk of jail time in some
Right,
certain
yeah.
states. I was like, yo, that's
What's
like a
the
really
point
good
with the
fucking
7th, 8th,
point.
and 9th thing? If it's
Yeah.
going to kill the wife and they have to come to a decision, if I'm pretty sure if they both don't make it out, they can technically face jail time.
Yeah.
because it's technically at that point an abortion, and you've killed someone.
At the same time,
Yeah, no, like the child. If the child dies in that procedure
yeah.
to remove it, then it's a murder.
yeah,
basically,
and then you're like,
and
oh,
not-
well,
yeah, a medical procedure.
that's a predicament.
Well, that was good. I'm glad you guys had stuff because I'm going to be honest. I think that's one of the more important topics for them to debate about.
Oh, I agree.
I would say,
do
Huge thing.
I would say
I
him.
think it's being overlooked.
Yeah, no,
him
100%.
speaking on abortion and putting the states' rights isn't a woman's issue. It's only a woman's issue on the flip side of it being if you're pro-abortion because you're giving rights.
Yeah.
And so no woman, I mean, I can't say no woman,
Yeah.
but generally the gist is if you're taking someone's rights away, they're often not going to vote in line with you.
Yeah,
So if
Right.
you're, it's more of a, for like religious people, it's more of
Yes.
a religious grab
yeah.
than
Yeah.
a specific, like woman grab.
Yeah.
Because it's like, oh, he wants to take my rights away. I'm going to vote for him. Well, that doesn't make any sense at all.
yeah.
Yeah, and I actually, Kamala actually, I have this written down too. Kamala said at one point that like people should not have to abandon their beliefs when it comes to abortion.
Right.
Like
Yeah.
survivor of a crime of violence to the body doesn't have. Yeah, she said like a survivor of the. Oh, this was actually the best thing she said about it. I remember watching. She basically said, so like she was saying, so you're saying a survivor of a crime of violence to her body doesn't have the right to make the decision on what happens to her body next.
right.
Yeah.
Fire line.
That was pretty compelling. When she said that, I was like, she got him. Next, we talked about immigration, which, again, is a fucking massive topic.
Oh wait, can I say something before on the abortion thing?
Sure.
And then he said, well, like he did something, like he pushed it to states' rights.
Yeah.
That's basically if I just took the responsibility and gave it to you.
Exactly.
I said, well, hey guys, I did it.
It wasn't me.
Hey,
They did it.
Hey, I handled it. It's on them now.
Hey, Georgia.
Okay. And it's like, that's just, and if he was saying, he's like, oh, like, personally, I'm like for abortion in the first like 6 weeks.
But it doesn't matter.
Okay, but
to
your
me.
stance is you basically just kicked it to the states who are going to vote split anyway.
Exactly.
So
Yeah,
it's like you're
yeah.
just basically voting for not abortion.
No, I hear what you're saying. But yeah, they talked about immigration next, and this was a big to-do in the fucking debate as well. This was the portion where Trump jokingly invited Kamala to wake up Sleepy Joe from his nap,
Right.
to go down to the White House and sign a bill right now about the border and all this stuff, and was saying, you won't do that, you haven't done that. Right? He kept saying stuff like that. But Kamala's point was, they were the only. This note was kind of skewed because they were talking so fast, but she brought up something about like being one of the only persons to prosecute on illegal guns and weapons for like illegals, and they were
Right,
talking
yeah.
about her bill would have added like X amount more security agents. It would have allowed to stem the flow of fentanyl, which I thought was an interesting sneak in because some people do just vote on like the drug policy stuff, and they say, we have a lot of drugs in this country. It must be from the illegals because that's what people whatever, whether that's your line. I think I'm not saying that's right or wrong, but she was basically saying, like this would have put more resources at the border to prosecute transnational organizations for trafficking guns and drugs. But apparently Trump killed that bill. And she said that's because Trump prefers run-on problems instead of fixing and finding solutions. She said this comes at a time when we need a leader to engage in solutions and addressing problems.
Which for Trump's favor, that's super smart for him to do. Like realistically, if that bill got passed and that went through and the border was good, like what is he running on? You know what I mean? That's like the biggest part of his like campaign.
Yeah.
So he was like, hell the fuck no, called them up and said, hey, y'all are blocking this shit because I need something to run off of. And granted, I don't think.
Oh shit! I see what you're saying.
I don't think he like. I'm not saying he wouldn't be able to fix shit, but like he was gonna be like, if it's gonna get fixed, it's gonna be like my doing. You know what I mean?
Wow. It's
That's what happened.
psychology.
Yeah.
See, because I was looking at it from the other. Hold on, let me keep going. I'll get to that. I'll get to that portion of it. Because there was another thing I want to say. Oh, so when she was talking about this part, this is when she invited the viewer to attend Trump rallies, saying that they're weird because he says weird stuff people leave out of boredom, and you won't hear him talk about putting you, the American, first. Trump's response to immigration and the border was pretty funny because, and now I'll circle back.
Yeah.
Because the angle I saw was what Trump was. So see how you said that, Trump wants the border kind of open so he can be the one that put the nail in the coffin on it.
Yeah, he wanted to run off that, yeah.
And Trump was basically trying to say that they're running off the border being opened because they're going to capitalize on the votes of illegals, right?
Yeah.
Because obviously he knows that there's demographics to gain votes from in that scenario. But he said on rallies, like, people don't leave. And he was like, you pay buses full of people to come to your rallies. And then he started talking about we'll end up in World War III, the country's being lost, that they're letting millions of people into towns, that towns are embarrassed to talk about it. This is where he gave the quote of the night and said, in Springfield, they're eating the dogs and the cats, the pets of people that live there.
They're eating the dogs.
I'm gonna look through the memes I have.
He said they come to the rallies because they like what I say. She's destroying our country. And then he said we'll end up being Venezuela on
Not that one.
steroids.
The third one. Do the third one.
But yeah, the memes were going crazy on Twitter all night. There were some great memes. This is a good one. Pull this.
That's not a meme though.
It's real.
Right.
That's
Yeah,
from
this-
Donald Trump Jr. He tweeted that one.
This is
Are you
real.
serious?
Yeah.
Oh, what the fuck?
Oh,
It was
didn't
AI,
even know
AIR.
that.
You didn't see Ted Cruz did the same thing.
No, I didn't. I didn't know Donald Trump fucking Jr.
Yeah.
Yeah, there was a
actually
lot
funny.
of comments made at the. They're eating the dogs and the cats. It was.
No,
pretty
I
funny.
honestly didn't think he was going to pull this one out, which is
I
pretty
didn't
crazy
hear
that
about
he
it, to be
did.
honest, until that.
Oh, I was talking about it the day of
Yeah?
because like Ted Cruz tweeted this out in the morning. And it's because JD Vance tweeted out like
Oh,
13
yeah.
hours before this.
Yeah.
Go to Twitter and just look up JD Vance's not that one. Just look up the tweet
I'll
himself.
just type in through here.
I don't yeah. And this is the CNN report. We can read this one after, but yeah, just go to his thing. I think he maybe has it pinned. I don't fucking know. It's some long ass thing.
But what about it?
It was him just going over basically, oh, I've had a bunch of emails from the fucking Bobbledygocks in fucking Springfield, Ohio.
I don't know.
I don't know
Basically,
where it's
they
fucking-
were saying basically they.
He's basically saying that like a bunch of officials have emailed him saying that the fucking the Haitian migrants in Springfield, Ohio, are eating the cats and the dogs.
That's wild.
Right.
Like
and
robbing
then,
people of their
and then
pets.
in this, Trump was also saying basically like the Haitian immigrants are raising the healthcare prices, the housing market, and then something else. And I'm like, so they're so poor they have to eat the pets, but they're raising the housing market, and they're raising healthcare. How? How do you
Yes,
raise healthcare prices by people?
Yeah.
I don't know.
How does that make any sense?
Yeah, I don't know.
I'm not buying a house, and I can't even rent the
Well,
houses.
What I was going to make the point is like, and a lot of people are saying this, like, that, in my opinion, and a lot of people are saying it as well, like, that was the point where the debate kind of took a turn, where he started, like, he raised his voice a little bit more.
Getting a
Right.
little
He was a
radical.
lot more aggressive.
Well, I
As
think he
soon as
lost the plot after that.
As soon as she came at, like, the crowd size and shit like that, he was like, oh, fuck this. I'm going all out. And he started just, bam, rhetoric.
Yeah.
Yeah, so he went on to say that his deportation,
Depor.
his deportation proposal would be the largest domestic deportation operation. It'd be National Guard and local police. They asked, how would you do it? He said it's 11 million or more undocumented aliens. They asked, what will the authorities do? He said basically they allowed common criminals, immigrants, people that were told by their countries don't ever come back. This point he made was good, where he says crime in Venezuela is in the South is down. It's down all over the world. Why? Because they gave the criminals to us. He said this is the greatest mistake in American history to allow them in because they think they can get votes. They've destroyed the fabric of this country. Crime is down all over the world except for here. The new form of crime, he said there's a new form of crime called migrant crime. And then they started talking about the FBI says crime
Oh, yeah.
is coming down, which is what the moderator said. He basically got fact checked. And then he said they say it's coming down because they didn't include the cities with the worst crime. Like they chose to leave certain crimes out. Then he went on to say that they're weaponizing him. This is what, to go off your point, when it started going off the rails, he started bringing up like the cases that have been made against them. He said, I probably took a bullet to the head because
Yeah,
of
that was
them.
crazy.
That was another quote that he made. Then he started talking about like his document case and Biden's document case and like the parallels, or rather the fact that there was no parallels between them, even though one was innocent and one he has another court hearing about it and all that shit. Yeah, the immigration portion like definitely went off the rails. But when it came to immigration, the next question the moderator asked her, and this I thought was actually a tough question. They straight up asked her, like, why have your stances changed?
Oh, yeah. Because they did shift.
Because one of the things that changed on was immigration, but then she started talking about, she rebutted the weaponization stuff and was bringing the point up, which I remember I seeing this on Twitter a while ago, but she was basically asking the viewer to be like, do you realize that the Supreme Court basically ruled Trump would be immune if he entered office again? He said he would terminate the Constitution. He would weaponize the DOJ against his political opponents. Basically said, like, what would it mean if Trump was back in office with no guardrails? Like, she basically asked a rhetorical question for the viewer to think of that, trying to like paint this like dictator narrative and saying that, because this is something she kind of kept leading on too, like being like, oh, you idolize Putin and you idolize Kim Jong-un and you want to be just like them. So that's what she said. That's what she said in response to the weaponization claims. But then they did ask her about why have your policy changed. She said that none have. She started talking about fracking, and that said in 2020 that she'll not ban fracking, has not banned it, will never ban it.
Which is stupid.
She was a tie-breaking vote on Inflation Reduction Act, which opened up new leases for fracking. She wants to invest in diverse sources of energy, reduce reliance on foreign oil and energy. She said we can't over-rely on foreign oil. Then she said how she was raised by a middle-class mother, which shows her values. She said not everyone got handed $400 million from their father. Her value was to, her value she was raised on was to work hard. She wants to work with the home sector to add 300 million homes to our country. Then she brought up all in the same paragraph. Then she went on to say how she had a friend that was sexually assaulted.
Oh, yeah.
She works and stands up for the people. She vows to protect seniors from scams, protect Social Security. Again, painting the narrative of I am for the people, I'm for the average person, right? Because I think, the Democrats are trying to say that Trump's campaign is largely built to appeal towards the billionaires and the upper 1% of the country, all that jazz. Just trying to sift through and like teach people what both sides are built on here, Anything to say on any of that?
Well, I would say going back to the
go back. I said a lot. It's fine. Sorry.
the immigration stuff.
Yep.
What Josh was saying was because he was saying like he wanted to wait until Trump was in office to put through that bill.
Well, basically, just he needed his biggest campaign or biggest thing to run off of on his campaign, easily cleaning up the border. And that's like the biggest issue from a lot of the people that are voting for Trump. A lot of people are voting for Trump solely because they think that it's like being overrun, it's out of control. Yeah. So like for him to call that and block that, whether it's going to help or not, is the smartest thing that he could have done, because now he has a whole campaign to run off and see this is awful, see what's happening, this is what they did to our country, this, that, whatever. And nobody really like knew. I mean, people knew that he like urged them to block it, but like this is the first time I heard it be said live on TV on like, from 100 million people.
About it.
Yeah, I've heard about it before, but I had to like do my own research to find that. I was surprised when I saw it, but yeah.
Well, I was gonna say both political parties, what they want to do is keep the same
something. Yeah, they need
the same
something.
Topics: abortion, border, some other devious third thing. They want to keep the same thing because the lines are already drawn in the sand.
Oh, exactly.
And if they can gain the advantage, you're not going to solve the problem, because then they have to find a new topic and draw a new line.
It's fair. Yeah.
And potentially lose out on the seats. I mean, it's like...
But, like, the plan was there. Like, they were actually going to actually try and
but
solve
you
it.
don't want to implement the plan, because then it would technically...
Well, I'm sure the Democrats were just like, shit, all right.
Right, because if a Democrat passes the bill and then it goes through, then it's like, oh, a Democrat solved it.
Big win.
And then they can't run on border control, because then the border crisis is solved. And then like another thing with the Venezuelan, I'm almost positive, unless it was Colombia, I'm pretty sure they threw everyone in jail who had a criminal record or something like that.
Yeah, I'm not sure.
So that's how they solved that.
They came here?
No, they threw them all in jail. The Colombians or the Venezuelans.
That came here.
No.
No, in
their entire country.
Oh, they said,
they took every single criminal.
That's why crime's down.
They took every single criminal and everyone with a criminal record and threw them in jail.
How
the crime is down drastically.
Yeah, I bet. Yeah. Damn.
But I think the spinoff from that too is people probably got away from that and came into America.
Oh, yeah, 100%. I mean, yeah.
And that's where I think the only people coming here are criminals.
Which is a crazy concept. I love the he always says he's like, they come from insane asylums. First off, how they're escaping the insane asylum and then walking through the desert? These people are insane.
And their ass showing through the fucking gowns.
I'm just so confused from that. And
that's the thing, right, too,
statement.
Because surely there's people trying to enter our country that are harmless. Right.
Oh, 100%.
That are looking for a better life.
Want a better life,
for their family. I mean, that is purely what the American dream is. But when there are a handful of actual documented criminals in their hometown coming, like, you can place blanketed terms over stuff.
Yeah,
correct.
That's what that is.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, it's the same thing with the cats and dogs.
Right.
I have yet to see one shred of evidence that cats and dogs are being eaten.
Yeah,
But if one
you saw
person
one
does,
video,
then it's
yeah.
like all
damn, look.
20,000 Haitian immigrants
you
are
can
eating
say
the
it, yeah.
cats and dogs. Everybody,
Because you can't prove it now.
right?
Right. But
Well-
that's kind of what I want one of the goals to be is like, all right, let's like look at this like with
Yeah.
logic.
Right. And then we actually didn't cover it, but we almost covered it in the last podcast episode. He also mentioned, along with
The apartment building.
with the apartment building, and I had that.
Oh,
we
yeah.
almost covered it, and it's completely.
relevant to this, I guess.
Yeah, now because he's said it several times, but
Yeah.
basically it's found to be completely false.
Oh, really?
And the guy who is like managing it is like the worst fucking building manager in existence or something like
Yeah.
that. He's completely negligent. So instead of having the state come down there and like basically like take it away or something like that, he was basically claiming that like gangs took it over and it was like a violent area and he couldn't get in there or something like that. It was some like long fucking winded thing. He's been doing this for like 5 years or something
Really?
like that. Yeah, he's got like a
What the
ton of like
fuck?
things on him. Yeah. Even and I saw also on the Haitian aspect that this started in like 2022 or 2021 when some leader of like a neo-Nazi group went into
Oh, I
like,
saw that.
a thing and
Like
gave
a town hall
speech on-
thing, yeah.
I was like, that's insane.
And that's what he said was happening. And then everyone's like, oh, they're just taking the word of some neo-Nazi now and just assuming that it's like the gospel.
right.
Fair.
That's crazy.
They then talked about January 6th.
I like it. He called it J6.
J6.
I thought that was kind of.
J6.
Yeah,
I was
thought
kind
that
of gave a
funny
ring to
too.
it. I was like J6. All right.
Man, I
The
fuck
question
with
they
J6.
asked him about it basically was, you told your supporters to go to the Oval Office, go to Washington, D.C. Do you have any regrets about it? Trump said, you said something that
J6.
he basically was like, you said something that was not covered. I said to go peacefully and patriotically. That's what the point he was trying to make. Like, nobody on the other side was killed. They name dropped this woman who I guess lost her life, Ashley
One got
Babbitt,
shot, yeah.
and was saying that she was shot by an officer that was out of control.
Right, which doesn't make any sense
And
because he wasn't out of control. I mean,
Yeah, I mean, she
in,
was...
in full legal standing, they honestly probably should have shot and dispersed the crowd.
yeah,
They-
look,
I
They
mean,
legally were within their rights.
they were well within
they
their right to
probably
shoot,
could have
yeah.
shot somebody.
Like, it's sad,
And
obviously,
be-
that somebody died,
I
but,
imagine
like,
the cop who shot her was not. He was not arrested.
No. It wasn't even like a lethal round, was it? Was
Oh,
it like
I
a
don't
gun? I
It doesn't make a difference after that, though. Even if he shot a non-lethal round and it killed somebody, it's.
I mean,
still
they were
murder.
breaking the fuck into the thing with, like,
Yes.
officials and, like, you
Correct.
kind of...
Now they should not have opened fire into a crowd. But
Exactly.
they definitely could have beat them up with batons.
Yeah.
And whatnot.
Like, nobody probably should have died.
Right.
But he was well within his rights to use his weapon, which is
Right.
unfortunate. But
I'm
like,
actually surprised more people didn't die.
honestly, I was surprised it was only one person because that honestly they were just fucking in that bitch. But I don't know. I was at work
Pulling my
that day that
memes-
happened. That was
pull my
crazy.
memes up.
You have to tell me.
Pull up the first one. Pull up this one. Show them this one. Can we show CNN? I think we can, right?
Already passes.
What do you mean already passes? Pull it back up. I don't care. Andrew's waiting on his next topic.
yeah, you can pull up whatever.
Yeah. That was funny. Did you go over this one
I got
yet?
Nothing but time.
No, not yet.
No, we're not there yet.
Okay. Pull up the ones we already talked about. We told them that the baby's executed.
I hate these memes.
That's a good meme. The baby's waiting to be executed.
Yeah, it's let's do all the memes at the end.
Okay.
Let's do that at the end.
Yeah.
Well, do you
'Cause I
want to do
wanna-
the
I wanna
info
keep going.
stuff?
What info stuff?
Well, I have like a CNN thing with JD Vance and the cats and the dogs. He was answering a question about it. She was asking about the
Oh,
cats
okay.
and
This
dogs.
relates
What's
to
her name?
immigration.
Caitlin?
Yeah, go for it.
Yeah, pull this one up.
Caitlin something?
No clue who this is. Caitlin Clark?
No,
The best WNBA player of all time.
she's like big on CNN
Says
now.
CNN just confronted JD Vance on the migrant
Vance.
pet eating controversy. They were not prepared for his response. Does he give a good response?
No.
False claim that you yourself have talked about in
You
recent
probably
days
turned it all
about
the way up.
Haitian immigrants in Springfield, Ohio, abducting people's pets and eating them, which officials there have said is not true. You yourself acknowledged it may be false on Twitter. You still told people to keep spreading it. But Trump just amplified it to tens of millions of people who were watching. Why push something that's not true?
Well, first of all, city officials have not said it's not true. They've said they don't have all the evidence.
They said they have no evidence.
We've heard from a number of constituents on the ground, Caitlin, who both firsthand and secondhand reports saying this stuff is happening. So they very clearly, meaning the people on the ground dealing with this, think that it is happening. And I think that it's important for journalists to actually get on the ground and uncover this stuff for themselves when you have a lot of people saying, my pets are being abducted, or geese at the city pond are being abducted and slaughtered right in front of us. This is crazy stuff. And again, whether those exact rumors turn out to be mostly true, somewhat true, whatever the case may be, Caitlin, this town has been ravaged by 20,000 migrants coming in. Healthcare costs are up. Housing costs are up. Communicable diseases like HIV and TB have skyrocketed in this small...
If I knew an ethnic minority was coming in with congenital diseases, why would I be fucking them?
I mean, it's a fair point.
I mean,
what? It's up. I mean, I feel like if any, yeah, all right, keep going.
Ohio town. This is what Kamala Harris's border policies have done, and I think it's interesting, Caitlin, that the media didn't care about the carnage wrought by these policies until we turned it into a meme about cats. And that speaks to the media's failure to care about what's going on in these communities. If we have to meme about it to get the media to care, we're going to keep on doing it because the media should care about what's going on.
I saw you say.
wait, so is he
Oh,
saying
you
that
should
it
the
was...
full thing.
Well,
I didn't get the right one. You kidding me? She then goes down and be like, "Well, what about reports of Bigfoot?"
Yeah. She said if somebody called you on your phone and said, "Oh, one person was like, hey, we seen Bigfoot out here," do you now tweet that out to all your followers and say, "Hey,
Okay, that's a good
there's
point.
Bigfoot going crazy in Ohio"?
Right. No, exactly. I mean, we have a lot of footage of Bigfoot.
Yeah,
I've yet to see one footage of a cat eating anything, or a person eating the cat.
Was he saying that there was a meme?
Well, yeah, because Ted Cruz put out the meme originally,
Oh, that.
and then
oh,
the
oh,
AI
oh,
art.
oh,
The
oh.
AI art.
I thought he was saying the whole thing was. I'm like, you just.
No.
I was like, what the fuck?
Until they packaged it into a meme format, no one cared. Basically. Keep going,
But yeah,
keep
they
going.
went on to talk about January 6th.
Try to open some of them up, but I don't know what they are. Maybe I could look at my phone. I lied.
They name dropped the woman who lost her life during it. And basically, in this portion of the debate, they were both talking about when certain groups were going to be prosecuted, right? Because nobody's really been prosecuted about the J6 events.
Yeah.
J6.
Nobody's been prosecuted in terms of like the immigrants and like the criminals coming into the country. Trump basically like spun the January 6th stuff to start talking about people are committing crimes and are illegal, which I said at this point, this was my own thought that it was weird to go to that. And I think it's like what Josh was saying is that, you know, yeah, a large portion of his campaign is built on securing the borders, making the country strong again, making the economy strong again. But largely, like, when you use terms like criminals, illegals, aliens, like committing crimes, like bringing in drugs, like, yeah, those are scary terms.
Yeah. Sometimes the best way to run is to run off like fear, to be completely honest.
But he basically did a really good job of wiping his hands clean of January 6th. And this is what I said. His direct quote was, "I had nothing to do with it. I just made a speech." He said that he knew there would be a big rally and it wasn't conducted by him. He knew that a bunch of people would go to the Capitol. He said that he offered to give 10,000 National Guard to Nancy Pelosi and that she rejected it. They have a tape of Pelosi rejecting it, says that it's completely her fault and not his because he actually offered to have a police presence, to have a military presence there to police the rally that he knew was going to happen.
That's a very fair point by him, to be completely honest. But at the same time, like, you wouldn't need that if you didn't say what you said. You know what I mean?
So Kamala goes on to say that she was there the day President incited a violent mob to attack our nation's capital. She brings up the 140 law enforcement officers who were injured, some dying. She said the former president has been impeached for that reason before. Then she went to Charlottesville and all the tiki torches, people spewing anti-Semitic hate, to which Trump's quote was that there were fine people on either side. She brought up the Proud Boys, and his quote with that was "stand back and stand by." That was a big thing at the time.
That's the one thing I really just they need to just stop with that because that has been disproven like 15 different, like over and over and over again. It's like the full quote, like, yes, does he say the words? 100%, it's on video, but the full quote, it's not like as they're portraying it, and they need to just like
100%.
give that one up.
And it's funny that you say that because her line and her angle here was to turn the page on it. She wants her campaign to be turning the page on this past, to turn her page on all the bullshit. Says that there's a place in our campaign to stand up for democracy, to end the chaos and approach of attacking democracy just because you don't like the outcomes. She then was talking about how Trump said there will be a bloodbath if he doesn't like the results of this election. Trump then responded about the bloodbath to be about how it was disproven. Again,
Yeah, that's another misquote. Yeah.
Because it is another misquote. And he came right out and said that. He said the bloodbath wasn't even in relation to the results of the election. It was in relation to energy.
Yeah.
He then went on to say Charlottesville's story has been completely debunked. It's in every newspaper, but they're still bringing it up. Just like they brought up the Project 2025, even though that's fake as well. Because that's what she came out with one right away, too. And her opening statement was, again, pairing him along with Project 2025. And I remember Trump said that he doesn't even know what it is. He's never read it, doesn't want to read it, blah, 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 yada, yada, yada.
Well, there's sides to both of the 2020 Project 2025 stuff because, yes, technically he's like not for it, but he is on video saying that there are some things that he agrees with in it. So, like,
I think he did acknowledge that at that point.
But he's not like, it's not by him or his people. Yeah.
Well, it was, I do think, I don't know if past, present, or future Trump staff.
Past, yes, yeah.
Been in that article or are authors of the article.
It's people that are supporters of him, and I think probably people that have worked with him before as well. I was
just saying, not just supporters, like actual people who are in his advisor board. I'm sure it came out.
I don't know. I mean, there's obviously a place and time where it could just be like he's like, well, we can incorporate some of that.
On the flip side of fear mongering from Trump's perspective, I mean, it's just fear mongering from the
same exact thing.
Side, right?
Have you read this?
Have you read? I mean, it's a crazy read.
Crazy.
It's a crazy read. So I can understand why they would double down on that, even though he's like, it's not true.
I was about to say, I'm all set with the fear mongering stuff. Like, I think a lot of stuff gets blown out of proportion, especially in an election year, and it's been worse because like Trump versus Biden and Trump versus Trump. It's like so divisive that like they need to like scare you the fuck into voting for them at that point.
They like almost need to name call.
Yeah, it needs to like.
And you bring up the fear mongering too. Like they do it against him, but he also can do it back.
Oh yeah,
because the other side of like the immigration thing is again right after he started talking about Charlottesville. He also said, "Why are we allowing millions into the border?" He again said, "I'd like to see her go down to D.C. to sign a bill to close up the border, but they won't do it, even though they have the power to right now." All Biden has to do is say it in the Border Patrol to sign the bill, but they won't do it. That was basically it on immigration January 6th.
That's a fair point.
Does anybody have anybody else to say about it?
That is a fair point because they really, honestly, probably could have done a bit more by now. But
because that's one of the big cogs in Trump's campaign wheel too, is this. It's not even really an illusion, but it's this narrative of like, yo, you guys are saying you're going to do stuff in these next 4 years. Like you could have been doing already. And that's a big takeaway too.
I mean, they did a lot of good, but like the fact that she's now coming with like new plans, new things, and new this, it's like, those are great ideas, but like you really honestly probably could have set forth that shit before and actually probably had a better time running on that shit now because it's like I propose these things.
You could say, look at what we did so far.
Exactly. Yeah. So that is probably his most. I think he probably should have hung on that most of the debate and say you literally could have done this. Like why the fuck didn't you?
But it's easier to say I'm going to do it than do it.
Oh, 100%, 100%. Yeah.
I don't have to do any work, and I go, well, I'm going to do it next time.
But like you being the guy to be like, hey, you didn't though. Everyone's going to be like,
but I'm gonna.
You fucking didn't.
But I'm gonna.
Go back to the screen. I like looking at us.
Oh shit, my fault.
Makes me feel like we're doing a podcast.
Sorry,
forgot it was on that.
This next question is fire.
Okay.
Fire question.
What they asked Trump, I thought this was a great question. They said, for 3.5 years, you falsely claimed that you have won the election and in a landslide. Are you acknowledging that you lost in 2020? He doesn't acknowledge it at all.
Yeah.
Like it doesn't
Which is
acknowledge
insane.
that
I just don't get the point of standing on that.
He basically said
Neither, to be honest.
He goes, there's so much proof, 75 million votes. They told me if you get 63 million votes, you can't be beaten. People should never be thinking of any other election being as fraudulent. Our elections are bad, really bad, he said. They're trying to get illegals to vote to skew the votes, which again, like we said when the immigration topic came out, he's really leaning into that. That's why they were allowing them in. It's to vote. The speaker, this was when there was a back and forth between him and the male speaker. Forgive me, I don't remember the guy's name.
Can look it up.
We'll talk about the speakers after because I think we're gonna have to talk about the moderators after. But Trump was like, I said that with sarcasm. You know that. And the speaker was like, oh, I actually couldn't detect the sarcasm in what I read.
I saw that.
Says the president doesn't have standing if you look at the facts. If you look at the facts and the stats. Trump says if you look at the facts and the stats, I won. The problem is now we have a nation in decline, and they put it into decline. And I forget what Kamala said to that. Let me scroll up in my notes. Oh, yeah, Kamala, in response to the 2020 election stuff, says, look, guys, like he says he still hasn't lost. There was a post on Twitter from Trump that said, when I win, those who cheated will be prosecuted to the fullest extent, long-term prison sentences. What's he trying to do? That's the question she asked us. What's he trying to do? Again, trying to lean into the dictator narrative, right? Saying that like he'd inflict harm on his own people, pretty much. She said, fire quote, Trump was fired by 81 million people. He is having trouble processing that. World leaders laugh at him and she basically made a really good point. And it's something that I think isn't talked about enough, but she basically said, like, when you, Donald Trump, like, think about what Donald Trump is, former president. She basically was saying, when you, Donald Trump, deny court cases and an election, it leads foreigners to believe that, it believes people within our country, it leads people in our country to believe that you're confused, like, by basic fact. And basically was like, how can you have confidence in a man who denies clear fact and clear stats about an election that he lost? And she was also trying to give off the vibe that like other countries would view us weak with somebody in charge who doesn't respect his own government, his own the facts and the stats pretty much.
Well, that's a good point, like with the Putin stuff and why they're so close. It's like if he's kind of like sort of dejecting away from like the way we do things and our it's like he can get Trump on his side and like not like do his bidding, but like they do each other favors to an extent. Like he might just fucking let Putin just do his thing in fucking Ukraine. Just be like, you'll be like, hey brother, like you say you're not gonna go any further? Sure, go ahead, take Ukraine type shit.
Yeah, but I mean, he's fully sanctioned to do that right now.
Who?
Putin.
Oh, they can't.
Nothing's stopping him.
Well, they're at war. I think if he could right now just do it, he'd do it.
He can.
But they're fighting back, is what I'm saying.
Yeah.
Like, it's not like that easy to for him to snap his fingers and just take over.
Right.
Yeah.
You made it sound like it was.
No. I'm saying we would stop, if Trump gets put in office, he would stop giving aid to them and kind of allow Putin to go in.
I don't think Russia wins that war anyways.
The global
you think so? Really?
No.
The global conflicts are what came up next anyway.
Oh, right.
They started with Israel.
I would say the preface on the Israel one, it's like it has to be one of the stupidest conversations to have.
Honestly.
I mean, both people are pro-Israel.
Yeah.
But they can't say it
or
at
like,
the same time.
No, but they do say it.
But they can't fully commit to it.
No, what do you mean?
Because Kamala was like, well, on the other hand, though, like you can't just say, because you know a lot of the people that are going to vote for Kamala, a lot of it has to do with like
Free Palestine.
Yeah.
No.
So she can't.
We even know this before. It's a non-issue.
It isn't a non-issue.
No, it's a non-issue.
It's a non-issue maybe to you, but a lot of people are voting off that.
You're not going to vote because she's pro-Israel?
A lot of people will.
I mean, you're not going to vote because she's pro-Palestine. Who are you going to vote for? It's
not even that. The point is, one's going to be more pro-Israel and more pro-Palestine than the other. So you have to try and figure that out. The stance that she made was smart because she was like, I'm super pro-Israel, But she was like, at the same time, these innocent Palestinians are dying. It needs to end anyway.
Right.
But like Trump in the last debate was kind of like, what do you say? Fucking, I just let him fucking like blow it off the map, basically.
Yeah.
That's not verbatim what he said, obviously. But
I mean, honestly, it's just I love Israel more. No, I love Israel more. No, I love Israel more.
No, I love
She's
Palestine
just saving
more.
face. Her policy doesn't
that's what I'm
to do
saying.
with that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That you
So
have
it's just it's a
you have to
pointless
give it both
conversation.
ways though with her.
Yeah,
Let's
I
go
don't-
into it, right?
It's
'Cause
it's a whole nothing burger.
Let's
in my
go
mind.
into
I
it.
hate
It
when they
is.
go. I hate when they talk about it.
But some people are going to look
I
at it and
go,
be
oh,
like,
this
you
is
know what? I like what she said about Palestine. It might not
nothing,
be.
but she's never
and
gonna do anything about
it may
it.
not be 100% what I. Well, half the shit's not probably not going to happen. That's just politics in general. But
Okay, so the conflicts come up, right? They basically had said to Kamala, like, you believe they have the right to defend themselves. And she said, yeah, I believe they have the right to defend themselves, but it matters how. The moderator said, you know, you said 9 months ago that 40,000 Palestinians are dead, but there's no deal in the making. Like, how would you do it, basically? Like, how would you get them to end the war? And she said, well, let's understand how we got here. On October 7th, Hamas slaughtered
Can I pause real
12...
quick?
Go, yeah.
Which is stupid. Who the fuck cares?
Fair. That's
how they
fair.
got there in general.
No, I mean, in my point, I hate both candidates on this matter. It completely defeats the question. Well, what would you do to solve it? She's in office. This is like one of the things she actually has hands on, and,
Right.
and I would,
they
I would
can
imagine,
actually, yeah.
like the vice president usually is usually like a foreign policy person, who like usually go there and do stuff. We have to understand how we got here. Why? What would you do to solve the issue? Understand? I don't think. I mean, yes, a brief understanding. You have to go through the whole history of the fucking last 9 months to get here.
The issue with that, or not the issue, but like the reason why she did that was just to like say like Hamas did something bad. Just to be like, listen, I'm not just saying pro-Israel, fuck Palestine. She's saying they did something. These people have the right to defend themselves. And then she went and backtracked and said, well, this is also still bad, and we have to figure out a way to do it. The thing that I don't like, and I just think is a lot of fluff, is the whole, we are working around the clock for a ceasefire.
Right.
Like,
Well, I mean, when she does that, she's beating around the bush.
yeah, 100%. Like clearly there's something that's not cracking in there.
I think she lost on this part. Like,
I think so, too.
Well, that's what I'm
When I
saying.
was
Like,
watching it.
it's a non-issue. I don't think either party wins on this.
Whether
No,
or not,
yeah.
Like,
Like
The-
she loses a bit more because she's literally in office right now and she could probably do something about it and she hasn't yet.
right, but the common Democratic voter, aka the people who live upstairs from me, don't give two shits about what the fuck happens in the Middle East.
Okay,
for the
fair,
most part.
fair.
I mean,
Well, I think that's what she said because she brought up multiple times like let's talk about like the American people, like what is affecting the American people. And I don't know if she meant that specifically to like kind of get off that topic or topics of
Right.
like, but like she was like, yeah, she brought up let's do that.
right.
I can
well,
tell you what she said. I
Yeah.
wrote it down. So she said, understand how we got here.
Can I stop you? I'm kidding.
Don't.
Let me stop you.
Mike's actually gotten good at not fucking cutting me off every time
more?
I talk.
Up it.
But yeah, she said, let's understand how we got here. October 7th, Hamas slaughtered 1,200 innocent Israelis, right? They were attending a concert. Everybody knows what happened. Says, Israel has the right to defend themselves. She reiterated it again, but how they do so matters. She went on to say, far too many innocent Palestinians have been killed. The war must end immediately. It will end with a ceasefire and getting all the hostages out. We will work around the clock on that. We will figure out a two-state solution that has security of equal measure for Israelis and Palestinians, and it'll result in something where they can rebuild Gaza, and Palestinians will also have their dignity as well. But I think, like, when people were making fun of Trump on not having a policy about, like, the healthcare stuff, this is the portion where I felt like she didn't have, like, much substance to what she was saying. That
Yeah,
makes sense?
there's clearly
It was
no
kind of like
plan.
I
We need
think-
to do this,
I
but
think
that's it.
she said exactly what she needed to say
Exactly,
to
yeah.
get the votes that she wants.
Yeah.
Fair to say
Yeah.
that?
Oh, 100%.
And that's unbiased to say that. She then used it against Trump to say this is where Trump is trying to divide us again. He admires dictators. He's weak on foreign policy. Let me read the rest of it. Hold on.
right, because you'd just rather have Netanyahu do as he wills.
Yeah.
Yeah, she basically said, like, when Russia went in, he said it was brilliant. He exchanged love letters with Kim Jong-un. That was one of the fire quotes she made of the night. I thought that was kind of fire. Basically said that Trump's easily manipulated by flattery from these other world leaders, that the other world leaders actually call him a disgrace. We need a president that's not weak on national security. I want to go to what Trump said on this now, because I believe this is the part where he came in. Trump said, which everybody could have guessed what he was going to say, if I was president, none of this would have happened. They said Putin would have never even gone into Ukraine and killed the millions of people that he killed. What she mentions about is Israel, she hates him. That's what he said. She hates him. She wouldn't even meet with Netanyahu. She hates Israel. If she's the president, if she is president, I believe, this was a wild quote. He said, if she's president, I believe Israel will not exist within 2 years. She hates the Arab population because the whole place is going to get blown up, he said. Arabs, Jews, all of them. He said, Iran was broke under me. They had no money. He said, now they have $300 billion because the tariffs I put in place that they took away. It's a big story. About how he said it was a big story about how they had no money for terror. Now they are rich and spreading the money around. He said, I will get the Israel war and the Russia war to end. He'll get it. He could get it done even before becoming president, is what he said.
Right. If he said that before too.
That he
was like, I could call Putin right now in the war.
Yeah.
Why don't you?
He basically went on to say, like, what do you think Putin feels? He said, what would Putin be doing right now? He'd be sitting in Moscow. He wouldn't have lost 300,000 men, and he'd be much happier without the war. But he brought up, again, fear-mongering. He brought up, but he has nukes, though, right?
Yeah.
He said he has nuclear weapons. Eventually, maybe he'll use them. That's like what he said. He said it's something we don't even like to talk about. He said they sent her to negotiate peace before the war started, and what happened? 3 days later, they went in and invaded. He said they said weak and stupid things, and right after, they went in and started the wars. Says that she's worse than Biden, and she's the worst VP. She's a horrible negotiator. She said as soon as they left the negotiations with Putin, they did the invasion, which I just think is why he won on that part. Like, I don't even know if that's true or not. How would I never know if that's true? I don't know.
She said she didn't meet with Putin. She met with Zelensky or something like that. I don't know.
And the moderators basically said, how would you deal with Putin? Like, would you deal with him different than Biden? She reminded Trump, you're not running against Biden. You're running against me.
Yeah.
She said that. She said that she believes Trump thinks the war will be over immediately because he'll just let it go, which I think is what you said.
Yeah.
Says that she met with Zelensky to plan out their border. They shared defense mechanisms. She offered support. They brought 50 countries together to support Ukraine. She said because of our ammo, our tanks, our aircraft, Ukraine currently stands as an independent country. If Trump was in, Putin would be in Kiev. This is why other nations are thankful Trump is not in charge, because Putin would go on and have his eyes set on the rest of Russia. And then she was like, first they'd go after Poland. She said, tell the 800,000 Polish Americans in this country that you'd give up on them. They asked if she's met Putin. They said, have you met Putin? She said, you'll hear lies from him. It's a campaign built on lies. I never met Putin. She's met with Zelensky 5 times now, and it's about standing united as a country, being a strong country, defending our alliances and supporting them. Then she again said Trump admires strong men and not our allies. She said the American people have the right to rely on a president that understands the roles of responsibility and principles and does not sell them out for the benefit of his own personal flattery. Wild.
Well, it's not far-fetched that he wouldn't do anything against Putin based on the fact that like he was really wanted to pull out in NATO and like stop giving funding for NATO.
Yeah.
So I could definitely see that. I think the rhetoric he gives where it's like Israel will be destroyed in 2 years. I mean, it sounds like a negative in a sense, but to the pro-Palestinian crowd, that's a positive.
Yeah.
So it's like a weird win in a way towards a crowd of people.
Yeah, like a specific set of people.
That doesn't really matter anyways, but
yeah.
I mean,
I thought that was funny. I was like, well, that doesn't make any sense.
But does it help him out? Yeah.
I mean, no, it helps him out in the sense like he's trying to paint her as someone who would let a non-Middle Eastern state in the Middle East fall.
Fall, yeah.
To the average American is a white state, even though Israeli people are technically Middle Eastern by ethnicity or something. So it's the concept of letting that, like a Western civilization, fall in the East. But then doesn't make any sense because all of her voters, like, I can tell you right now, if I probably showed if I pointed to a picture of the Earth and I said point out Israel and Palestine, most people probably
wouldn't even. Yeah, that's fair.
I always find that pretty funny. So yeah, I don't know.
I liked.
Weird point to bring up, I guess.
I found out because she brought up like a 2-state solution. I had no idea what that was, so I looked it up.
Yeah,
and that is
seen that.
Says a proposed approach to resolving the Israeli and Palestinian conflict by creating 2 states on the territory of the former mandatory Palestine.
Yeah.
But like apparently it says the first proposal for separate Jewish and Arab states in the territory was made by the British Peel Commission in 1937.
Yeah, it was
so
a
like
long
they still
time.
haven't even
Because I think Great Britain was in charge of all that. Great Britain basically was like, this is the land.
Yeah.
Y'all figure it out.
Yeah.
Well, let's not go into the history of this. This is
No, we're not gonna.
It goes down your down deep spot. But yeah, Great Britain often has a bad history of drawing lines in the sand where to create countries.
And then
AKA
you just-
like India and Palestine are very like a split on like religious differences. And they said this river is fine. And like there was like blood wars over the river because like Muslims were on one side and Hindi people on the other side. It's just like
I don't even want to get.
so fucked.
There's only a couple topics left. We'll fire through them. I think we're making good time.
I think so too.
They went to talk on race and politics.
Yeah.
Which as soon as it got brought up, I was like, oh fuck, like, here we go. But I think it was brought up for good reason. I don't remember who they asked first about this. I think it was Trump. And Trump said, like, why is it important to weigh in on race? Says he doesn't care because I think the whole thing about Kamala, it's Kamala, right? Not Kamala. Sorry. The whole thing about Kamala,
Wrong this whole time.
I have no idea.
I
to
think
be
maybe
honest.
one
time you
time,
said it. Oh,
maybe
okay.
if that.
It's Kamala.
Kamala, yeah.
Okay, fuck.
Kamala Harris.
The whole thing about Kamala is like, who is she? What does she want to be? Right? There's been a lot of videos going around about she talks
That's
in different
so
accents.
insane.
Insane. What do you mean?
Like
Like
just
that it's
the
true, or that the
the
narrative
fact,
exists?
the narrative that like
Oh,
yeah,
that's what we're
like,
talking about race with?
I think that's why.
Like is she Indian?
I'm
Is she
gonna be
black?
honest,
Like
I
do
think that's
people?
why they brought it up.
Did they not? Though that's the
Be-
first question.
because-
David Muir, I think his name was, or whatever. Muir.
I think
don't know
that
how
is
to
his
pronounce it.
name.
That was the first thing that he said to Trump was about like, oh, you said that she was Indian one day and then now she's black
Now
or
she's
whatever.
not. Yeah.
But like, do they not understand the concept of like being half this and half?
Oh,
like
yeah,
I
there's-
never understood that.
Yeah.
And also like,
It's always been hard for me to understand it because I am like 100% of one thing. But I imagine, I do
100%
imagine.
American.
Yeah, I do imagine that if you were two like polar opposite
yeah,
Right.
nationalities, like
You're Klay Thompson.
yeah, I'm sure is pandering the word. Like
yeah,
Yeah.
Well, like
I don't know, like
A lot of
sure
it-
you try to fit in with your cousins on each side. You know,
a
what
lot
I
of the
mean?
time, like this was brought up in a group chat, and we had like an argument about it. Like I was like, it's just like literally like code switching. If you know what code switching is, like, so
You know what
I
that
act and talk a certain way amongst
heard of that
like
before.
like you guys. No, dead
I'm
ass.
on like groups of friends.
I will talk a certain.
Nasty at that, Gemini.
I will certain act a certain
actually-
talk like a certain
I'm
way with you
actually
guys.
master
Right.
code
With CK and Tommy, like my two black friends that I
Yes,
know,
yeah,
I'm
yeah.
gonna talk and act a certain way
I've
with
seen
them.
that. I've seen
Right.
that. With
I'm gonna talk and act a certain way when I'm going to an interview or something.
Yeah.
And I'm just switching my dialect to just fit with the specific
Yes,
situation
yes.
I'm in because I have that in my bag. My bag's deep.
Right.
But like that's the same thing with her. Like if she's going to want to appeal to black Americans as a black woman, she can do that. And if she wants to appeal to the Indian American side of her as an Indian American woman, she can do that.
Why
Like
is she appealing to? I don't think she's
well,
appealing.
all right,
to
she's
Indian Americans.
just living her like
glad you're
that's her
making
in
a
a
life.
passive sense. He was saying like before she would identify as Indian American.
Yeah.
Now she's black because she's running for the president.
Yeah, but like it's like things like people are like she doesn't talk like this normally. Like
Yeah.
brother, when
Ohio Sigma Riz.
yeah, oh god.
Yeah,
Like when Zach says it to us out of nowhere. It's
When
like, oh.
what the take my when he's
What the take my-
when she's like addressing the country, she's not gonna, you know what I mean? But like, I don't know. People just don't understand that fact. Like, I don't think it's
No,
her
I'm
like
glad
playing
you're
an
talking
act.
about that, though, because I haven't heard anybody talk about that side of it.
I don't understand how. Like, it's just like, to me, it's like common sense. I think people just need to understand that like she's not like playing an act. Like, that's just like, for lack of a better term, in her bag. Like, that's just. I'm sorry, that's just in her
She's
bag.
not
In her
playing
blood.
act.
It's in her
She's
blood, in her
literally got
DNA,
a
that's
deep
her.
bag. She's
She's
literally
got the
deep
deepest bag maybe of all time.
But yeah, Trump, I don't think handled the
Deepest bag of
question
all
as good as he
time.
could because he basically was like,
Interesting.
I don't care what she is. She can be whatever she wants to be. It's okay with me. She's now black all of a sudden. Either one was okay.
Which is
Get a
like,
deep
honestly,
bag.
for him, in my opinion, like that wasn't that bad of a
was an
fucking
upgrade.
response.
That's a good-
because he
that's
was
a
just
good
like,
response.
I really don't give a fuck. But to me, it seems like she's trying to pander to people,
Oh.
which is like relatively a fair. It's a fair point.
Right, that's fine. Yeah,
That is a
that's
fair point for him to make.
And I could tell, and the reason why I said I don't know if he handled it super well because he spun it to say how this is the most divisive presidency
Okay,
and that
yeah.
they come up with things. She has to reach back years ago because there's nothing to talk about now. Because Kamala, in response to the race stuff, like she won on this topic, I think, because she said it's a tragedy that we have somebody who wants to be president that has consistently used race to divide our country.
She's like, you're
Right.
actually racist.
And what she brought up about that, like to her point, was, we don't want an approach that is to divide, especially by race. She reminded the audience that Trump started off by owning land and was investigated because he refused to rent to black families. Then there was the whole page in the New York Times about the New York Five,
Right.
calling them to be executed.
Good Netflix documentary if you want to watch a movie.
Oh, the Central Park 5?
Yeah.
Very, very, very good. I did not
Is there a
believe
documentary.
it's.
Oh yeah, it was
it's-
crazy to watch.
It was like a dramatization.
Yeah, it was
though.
dramatization.
See, that's probably
No, it was.
No,
it
it
was.
was good.
It was
It's really
very.
good.
I did not know anything about that story.
I
That
don't
is
know
like
anything about it either. I just remember.
very briefly. There was a lady that was she killed or just raped?
I don't
She was
know. I
raped
know.
and in a
I
coma.
know
She was raped
killed,
and, like, knocked
in the
out.
open, right?
She was like left in a park,
Central Park.
and they grabbed 5 black kids and
They just
basically
arrested 'em, yeah.
arrested them, and they went through the whole trial. And Donald Trump, like Kamala said, took out a full-page
Called for them to be
article
executed.
for and it was like really, 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 really bad. And even after they got
Acquitted.
exonerated,
Yeah.
he was still kind of pushing
work.
it like.
They never did it. Yeah.
Smart.
They just took like 5 kids that were bumped. There was like a group of like black
Yes,
kids
Yeah.
bumping
I
around the park.
understand. Wrong place,
And
wrong
they
time.
literally
Yeah,
grabbed
literally.
those kids and they like fucked
They
them up in a
they
closet
forced
and made them
dude.
say it.
They made him basically like admit
saying
to
they're
it.
guilty,
yeah.
yeah.
And
It was
it
crazy
was
to
just
watch.
And
Thanks
after
for spoiling the movie.
well, it's
It's
it already
real
happens
bad.
in
no,
life.
I know.
But
Boy, I'm kidding. I'm kidding.
at the end, like he still
Spoilers.
was kind of like saying like I
acquitted.
still think they fucking did it afterwards.
Yeah.
So it was like I don't know. That was a very, very, very bad thing for him.
Yeah. So she basically went on to go back to like her uniting the country shtick of like, we see a neighbor next to us, we're more similar than we are different. She kept saying that quote over and over again. Trump went on to say, yeah, so she brought up
The freak.
She brought up you refused to rent to black families like however long, probably fucking like 50 years ago now, right?
It was a while ago, yeah.
And
90s
that's
probably.
when Trump said this is the most divisive presidency and that she comes up with things. They bring up things. She has to reach back years ago because there's nothing on me now. And then I think he kind of folded because he just like went off the rails and started bringing up rebuilding the economy, that she is actually Biden. It's the worst inflation that we've ever had. She can't get away with that. She has a plan to defund the police, take away everyone's gun, no fracking. That's when Kamala dropped a hammer
Yeah.
and was like, I have a gun, and so does Tim Waltz.
I had no
I love
idea
that.
they were
I
gun
have a
owners.
gun.
People were like, she's strapped.
Dude.
Tim Waltz. Yeah, Tim Waltz is a.
When she said that, I was like, oh, what the fuck? Because she was.
I know the fracking's like a Pennsylvania topic and
Yeah.
it's just a
They needed
voters
to-
topic. I fucking hate that shit so much.
yeah.
And she was like, fracking, good.
Well,
what?
like, yeah.
I don't
I
like
guess
it.
they were in Pennsylvania, weren't they?
The debate.
Yeah.
Yes.
There you go.
Even and there was a point like a while ago. Sorry,
That's
but
really the only reason they talk
when
about
she
fracking.
pointed about like
hate
when
it
she
so much.
said like the Polish people thing earlier.
Yes.
That was like very tactical because like apparently there's a super large population of Polish people
There is. Can
in
I tell you
Pennsylvania.
Oh, okay, I didn't know that.
Yeah.
Okay, so at my job,
I hate Polish people.
he doesn't work. No, this kid doesn't work in my department anymore. Great kid.
He's my favorite.
Not gonna say his name. Polish American.
Really?
When
Ski?
that war started, we had the news on every day because his father got trapped in Poland.
Really?
So it was like actually kind of wild to sit there with somebody and watch it because he was like
Just
actually
stakes?
afraid at
Yeah.
that time that Russia would like quickly move through Ukraine and like
That's
also
crazy.
capture Poland. So he was giving me like a lot of perspective and like he would obviously would call his dad like fucking all the time and his dad would like tell him stories and shit about what he was saying. And I guess I think where he was from is like close to the Poland-Ukraine border. So it was at the very early stages of people like fleeing Ukraine into Poland.
That's crazy.
And he would say how like, yo, there would just be people fucking all over the streets in their like Polish town like looking for somewhere to go
Yeah.
because they were like fleeing. Anyway,
That's crazy.
at this point in the debate, they finally talk about policies. Okay.
Like at the end. We'll give him 5 minutes for it. Fuck it.
Kamala started up again about talking. I'm sorry, I started that off. Kamala went back to her initial points about the $6,000 credit for the early stage of a child's life, which is the most difficult life for a family with a child. She brought up the $50,000 tax reduction for small business pursuers and the $25,000 down payment, which was the first time she dropped it.
Yeah, the actual numbers.
Because that was like kind of hinted at, and I think she said it, but that was the first time she said it in the debate. She basically was saying like that she offers a new generation of leadership for this country. She wants to bring optimism and has optimism about what we can do instead of always disparaging each other and tearing each other down. She basically said that's why she has a plan and said, let's talk about that instead. Brought up the three things I just said. $50,000, $6,000, $25,000. That's what people want, not belittling each other. And then she said, like, and really quickly on taking away the guns, like, Waltz and I are gun owners, so, like, stop lying. Then they started talking about the healthcare stuff, which I think was a potential tipping point for the average viewer when it came to the healthcare stuff.
Yeah.
Because Trump didn't really paint himself in glory when he was like,
Yeah.
oh, you know, we have concepts of a plan. We have ideas of a plan. Why would I have a plan? I'm not the president right now.
Which is like
Blah, blah,
so
blah.
crazy because if
Yes.
you've been in the election running for like 4 years now,
Yeah.
you should definitely have something like even if you have to lie, like that's just like, dude.
So but basically, I don't dislike what he said about Obamacare though. Because they basically said, like, oh, well, now you say you'll keep Obamacare. So, like, what actually is your plan on it? Because, like, you never really got rid of it.
Yeah.
He said Obamacare was lousy health care. If we come up with something better, we'll replace it. He said Democrats wouldn't vote to change Obamacare. The Dems came up with it and wouldn't vote. He said, do I save it? Do I try to make it good or let it rot? He basically said, like, I had a choice to make. Do I save it and make it as good as it possibly could be or let it rot? He said he saved it. He did the right thing, even if it wasn't great. He said it won't be great and he said it's not great and it's too expensive. Then he said, we're looking at different plans. If we can come up with a cheaper plan, if we can come up with a cheaper plan, he will absolutely do it. Until then, he will run Obamacare as best he can. They said, do you have a plan? He said that he has concepts and options and they're working on a plan, which I said was probably a bad response. Then they said she's the one that's made a mistake, says that they could have done better than Obamacare and started talking about private insurance and that they want everyone to be in government insurance where you have to wait 6 months for a procedure that you immediately need. Potential fear-mongering. Anything?
Yeah, in other countries, when you have a life endangering procedure that you need, you immediately vault the line.
You get it, yeah.
Fair, yeah.
And I don't know.
Remains to be seen how it would work in this country. I'm not familiar.
I mean, I don't know how many times there has to be studies done that it just says instantly saves everyone's money, saves the entire government money, saves everyone money by just doing a fucking government plan for insurance.
Okay, gotcha.
Yeah. If you break your fucking finger, yeah, it's gonna take a little bit.
Yeah. Well,
If you need heart surgery, yeah, you're gonna go
you
get
should
heart
be
surgery.
exactly.
Gotcha.
Yeah.
Okay, gotcha.
Like it's not. I don't know, it's just stupid shit. I hate
Basically,
hearing
what
that
she said
argument.
about healthcare was that she supports private healthcare. Trump tried to get rid of the Affordable Care Act 60 times in his presidency. She said that was the stat.
6-0.
She said she'll never forget the night that John McCain walked into the Senate floor and said, "No, you don't," in relation to getting rid of the Affordable Care Act because he had no plan. She said assurance companies under them can no longer deny if you have a pre-existing condition. She said, remember when that was a thing? She said, we've allowed Medicare to negotiate drug prices. No one's ever done that. Insulin cost has been capped at $35 a month.
Fantastic.
Access to health care should be a right, not a privilege for those who can afford it. Plan should be to strengthen the act. And she basically was saying, like, when it came to, like, pre-existing conditions, like, if you have asthma and you need extra surgery or like, you wouldn't be denied that by the insurance company because they say, oh, well, you're not actually sick, you just have asthma. Or whatever the fuck they would have said. I'm not sure.
They charge you more, I
don't
think, if
know
you have an
shit
existing
about
injury. Or they can decline from even giving you insurance because it costs too much.
Yes, so they can no longer do that.
Yes.
Okay.
They haven't been able to do that for, like...
Forever. Yeah.
Yeah. Anything on healthcare? Anything on Trump potentially looking hollow? With his healthcare policy.
I understand the notion with like I like what like I agree with you on the Obamacare thing. Like, if you really don't have anything better, like there's no point in striking something down without a full plan.
Yeah.
And I understand probably what he was probably going for with him saying we have concept of a plan.
Yeah.
Which is probably just like we don't know for a fact that this is going to be better.
That we can find something better, right?
Exactly.
So, yeah.
So I
the
understand
least
that.
we can do is run what we have.
Yeah, but
It's fair, yeah.
you don't go in there and basically say you don't have a plan.
Well,
Like,
he didn't say
that's-
he didn't have a plan.
He had concepts of a plan. Like there's a way probably there's a better way to word that would come off to where the way I'm understanding it would be the mass understanding of like most people that watched it. But
Right.
Yeah.
I don't know.
Finally, they talked about climate change.
Climate change. I don't even know how to even like.
Like, it's just another nothing burger to me. It's like,
honestly.
we
I'm
gotta
going
try
to be honest, I
expand
completely
something.
agree because show me how you can stop that hurricane that's about to hit Louisiana.
Exactly.
Super Bowl, come to New Orleans.
Yeah.
Mark it.
True.
Saints win the Super Bowl. Saints win the Super Bowl. Mark it. You'll hear about it later on in the week.
I struggle to grasp that concept. They were talking about like solar energy. Trump was like kind of on. Trump said some weird stuff if I
About
remember
the desert.
correctly about like it take like 400 X amount of miles of desert land to
Would just
install
put solar panels,
But
yeah.
I'm for solar energy, but it would take up so much land it would be bad. Like,
Yeah.
He basically used the climate change to say that they lost manufacturing jobs. Said they lost 10,000 manufacturing jobs, and that they're building automobile factories in Mexico funded by China.
China.
We'll tariff Mexican factories.
Losing manufacturing jobs is also a good indicator, though.
He said that he would tariff Mexican facilities because if not, it'll kill the American automobile industry all the way from Detroit to Louisiana. That was a quote that he
Nothing's in
said.
Detroit.
Kamala on climate change was like Trump said it was a hoax, but ask anybody affected. Yeah, like basically was like ask people in affected areas of like hurricanes and shit that's been happening in the past X amount of years.
I've never understood the whole.
I think the climate change is
Makes no
I think
sense.
the climate change is a issue that young people might be interested in,
Yes.
and that's
'Cause,
the only reason they talk about
like,
it. I think it's for the youth.
To make it like personal, like I guess not personal, but my brother thinks like if it's really going to get bad, and like how people project like in like X amount of years, like this state's going to be underwater and this is going to be happening. He's like, for his sake, he's like, I think it, and the outlook is like pretty bleak, but like that's just the fact of the matter. Like he's like, if I have a kid or something, I would feel like I'm being selfish to bring my kid into a world that could ultimately just be like succumb to like whatever the effects of climate change could be,
Right,
depending
of
on
course.
like how bad it could be. And
I
I'm
find
like,
it to be a stupid concept.
I think it like I said to him personally, I was like, go, like I don't think you think like that.
see why.
But like I understand the point. Like truthfully, if what the scientists and people are saying, like they're saying like in 5 years something like this could happen, which I don't truly maybe believe fully it's going to happen.
Right. I
But-
mean, if I told you 10 years ago we're gonna have like 5 tornadoes
Yeah.
in Rhode Island, you'd be like, "What are you talking?"
Stuff like, yeah, but like I understand the notion of like people being worried about that, like growing up, and especially people our age, like trying to bring kids into the world. Like, is it going to be a place
Viable
where,
to live in.
Exactly.
Yeah,
and like you just want somebody in charge that like at least is going to look at that
Right,
and take that into consideration and be
Again.
like, here's how we can try and at least solve this to
And
an
again,
extent.
that's why I think it's for the youths.
Yeah.
But it's a nothing burger in the sense that no one's gonna do anything radical enough to really make a difference.
There's
I don't
nothing
think you
really
can-
radical
I'm
enough
gonna
we can
be-
do.
I don't think you can
no,
do
there
it.
is radical stuff we can do.
like-
They're just not gonna do it.
Too like realistically
fucking
radical.
radical shit.
Yeah.
Build a dome.
Yeah, like there's nothing that we can actually do that.
What is it? Build a dome. Where did that one come from? Build a dome.
That's the classic. That's
Yeah.
the classic
from who?
Build a dome over
Who
the
said to
world.
do that?
Simpsons movie.
The Simpsons
Never
movie.
seen
It
that.
wasn't to stop
Ooh.
global warming.
I would just
It
laugh.
could be.
I thought
Hey,
it was a thing. I thought
It's a comedy
it was a
podcast.
somebody write that down.
comedy
Um,
podcast.
It is.
Yeah, she basically
Yeah,
said
nothing
though,
burger.
and again, this is why I said I think it's a young people topic, and I think Kamala knows that. I think she's smart when she says young people care deeply about climate change. She did say that.
Well,
She said that. Well,
old people are just gonna die before it happens. I
right.
don't
So,
care.
yeah, exactly why I think it's a young people issue. But she also said she's proud to have invested $1 trillion into a clean energy economy, that she's actually created new manufacturing jobs. They're opening up factories around the world. It's part of building clean energy. Or she said, part of building clean energy also includes investing in American products and automobiles. And I just felt like throughout this whole climate change topic, both candidates were just absolutely grabbing at straws. You know what that means?
Just none you right.
Like just absolutely trying to fit 2 or 3 words in there that somebody
Yeah.
might be like, oh, investing in American products? Bang.
Yeah, buzzwords, 100%. Yeah,
It's all buzzwords.
Now, if I heard someone say nuclear energy,
that would
You'd be
get
on
you.
their side.
I'd be on their side.
Yeah,
But that's what I'm saying. Like, that's what I think.
They
There's
couldn't.
certain,
Nuke.
there's certain topics in this debate that are buzz topics, buzzword
yeah. Oh,
topics.
100%. 100%.
Climate change is absolutely one of them. If nobody has anything to say further about climate change, we're on to the closing statements.
I do want to say, I 100% agree with that last point you made, because there's people that were probably watching the debate like in the background and would like hear a word and like, you know what I mean?
100%.
Like,
Yeah. If you were scrolling Twitter and had the debate on.
yeah.
Anything from you, Bozo? Closing statements. I'll write my summary. I was summarizing their words. These are not my words. This is like from their closing statements, and then we'll talk about it.
Okay.
Kamala went first. She said, "You've heard 2 very different visions. One focused on future, the other on the past." She said, "We have so much more in common than what separates us," which was a line she used throughout
Multiple, yeah.
the whole thing. She said that she wants to create an opportunity economy, invest in young businesses, young families, bring down the cost of housing, respect our military, and have the most lethal fighting force in the world. She wants to protect integral rights, protect women's rights and their bodies. She said, "I've only ever had one client, the people." She said, "I've never asked any of my clients if they're Republican or Democrat," because she intends to be a president for all Americans, to build the country back up by investing in the people. Trump said she's not going to do this. She said, Trump said she's going to do this, do that. Why hasn't she done it? She's had 3 years to fix the border but hasn't. Why haven't you brought people together to do it? Do you believe in things? She said, you believe in She said, you believe in things that he said, I'm sorry. You believe in things Americans don't believe. You won't do what will make the country strong, whether we like it or not. You can't sacrifice our country for bad vision. She said, he said, we're a failing nation and in serious decline. They're laughing at us. Leaders are calling me. We're not a leader anymore. Wars going on in the Middle East and with Russia and Ukraine. He said, we'll end up in a war of no other because of nukes. He said, I rebuild the military and she gave it away to others. This was in reference, I have to put parentheses in here because we didn't get to talk about this. This was in reference to the pulling out of Afghanistan.
Oh, yes.
It was talked about a little bit. We're not going to cover it fully, but for those who don't know, they basically left $85 billion worth of guns, ammunition, military vehicles, equipment in Afghanistan, in the withdrawing from Afghanistan. That's what he was talking about there. Then he said, this is back to his closing summary. He said, I rebuild the military, and she gave it away to others. They're allowing millions of people to come into the country and destroy our country. He is the worst president, and she is the worst vice president in the history of the country. I'll go first. I don't know what takeaways you guys had on that, but I felt like Kamala won the closing summary. Maybe I'm an idiot for thinking that. Like, you can decide at home. But the reason I say that is because I think she was like actually appealing to Americans and actually like making a case for her campaign.
Yes, yeah.
I felt like Trump was just kind of like bashing and belittling, and to go full circle back to the handshake, I think it's very clear the two polar opposite candidates that we have.
Yeah.
And I think Kamala made that clear in her caught myself see that. I think she made that clear in her closing summary of like being presidential about it. Not bashing her opponent, not shitting on his policies, not shitting on what he's fighting for. You know, she really does want to turn the page and promote this opportunity economy, like create something that we can have hope for in our future as Americans in this country. And like, that's what my takeaway from her closing statement was. From Trump, I had written down that it was sporadic and chaotic, almost vicious at times. And I just, it's hard because like I learned a lot about psychology, right? And you do, or rather, I do feel like I can pick up on when people revert or people switch. And it's very hard to ignore when you're behind. It's very hard to ignore when you're losing something. And sometimes people get a little aggressive.
Yeah.
And I was a little... It didn't fill me with confidence that Trump's closing statement was to just like shit on hers.
Yeah.
And to like shit on what she said she vows to do. So there's that takeaway. Do I believe in what he says when he says like, you know, I built a great military, I built a great economy? Sure, because the proof's there. Like he did do that. But that was my takeaway from the closing summaries. I don't know if you guys saw the closing. Apparently, I don't know if you even watched up to that point.
I watched like 10, 15, so I didn't see the last 15 minutes.
That's basically in a nutshell what each of their closing statements were, and I felt they could not have been more different.
Oh, so different. I mean, she did exactly what she set out to do, was to make him seem like an aggressive guy.
Yeah.
He's going to ramble on about stuff. He's going to make lies about stuff. He's going to attack instead of offering hope for the American people and giving them like a reason to look forward. He's very, very much so stuck in the past because he loves to boast about his victories. And the last time he was president was like, it was 2016. So it's like, yeah, like he's going to have to keep going backwards. And her thing was to make him out, first bait him into becoming that Donald Trump, because he handled the beginning of the debate, in my opinion, extremely well.
Yep.
And then as soon as she got under his skin, it went right back to like, all right, here's who we've been seeing for the past couple of years now. So yeah, she did a good job in setting that up and then making it known in her last speech where she's not really even coming at Trump. She's just talking about all her policies, which he wants to go and move forward with. And then he went and did what he does best. And yeah, I don't know. He could have had a better... I think that was honestly low-key also his strongest part of the whole entire debate, was because he honed in on, you were literally in office, you didn't do shit, why the fuck didn't you do shit?
Right.
And I don't know. And then, like you said, it did go off the rails at the end, but yeah.
Michael?
I like Josh's point where he said, like, he brought up the point where it's like, you were in office, you didn't do shit. Why didn't you do shit? You should have just said that. I think if, like...
It's interesting, though, to dissect, like, the themes that were there. Because, there were clear themes from each candidate that I felt
Yeah.
like were consistent throughout.
Well, Kamala, I'm sorry, dude. Sick and tired. We are not going, like, stop saying the fucking one-liners. That shit pissed me the fuck off, I'm not gonna lie.
What do you mean?
She kept saying, we are not going back. We are not going, dude, fucking
Well, it
relax.
looked like that's what it's built
But it's
off of.
fair.
Like, I
That-
get
that
that.
is- that
Like,
is what
that's
she's running off.
And I think that that definitely speaks to
a lot of people.
X
yeah.
percentage of the population of people who don't want to go backwards or feel like electing Trump as president would be putting us in a time machine and
Yeah.
bringing us back.
Well, I think
there's
even
people are afraid of that.
In our, like, us talking, it's just like, we're so sick of the fucking presidential elections at this point. It's just like
I know. I'm
Kamala
exhausted.
offers
I'm only
like
25.
a new way forward. You know what I mean? Like it's just a breath of fresh air.
Right, and
we
I
haven't
think
had a
that's-
young candidate in fucking forever.
Yeah, and I think that is the overarching
Yeah.
theme of their campaign. It really is like, I don't know what she means by opportunity economy, but I get the notion of trying to create an image of like, hey, the grass is greener with this side.
Yeah.
I can see how they're trying to do that.
And if it ain't greener, at least it's different. You know what I mean? Like it's something
Yeah.
new.
Look, and I get like sometimes it's not always greener.
Mm.
I
But
don't know.
change-
I really don't know how green it was 8 to 4 years ago. But I don't know. I thought it was an interesting debate.
I think so too.
I'm not gonna say like who I thought won. I think you can, as a listener, like just
Decide for
take what
yourself.
we think. And
Yeah,
just
probably.
really decide for yourself. I don't even. I don't. Would rather people not care about my opinion at all, to be honest. But I don't know.
I wish they were both moderate candidates, in a sense that they would
'Cause
both have
there's
like
some things that are too extreme on each side.
yeah, because like he would
I
almost
agree.
run
I
better
agreed with that too.
trying to focus on not such extreme
Yep.
bases. And I
Exactly,
could see
yeah.
his strategies if like, because I think it is a good opinion to be like, you had the time as vice president to do stuff,
Exactly,
you didn't
yeah.
do shit, right? If you just use that as anything, and then you actually have policies and contrast that to the policies that she's passed,
Yes.
and be like, oh, they didn't do anything with those. What?
Uh-huh.
How is your plan going to change going
Yeah.
forward?
Yep.
I think it'd be a much more logical argument to follow,
Yep.
and it would seem common sense to most people. Be like, yeah, she did have that much time,
Exactly.
but then he has to go off and say they're eating the cats and dogs,
And you know
Yeah.
something
having
though?
babies, and it's like, okay,
Like, he
And
ruined
can I
it for
t-
himself.
And can I tell you something? That's psychology. That
Yeah.
is classic, like deflecting when you think you think the whole world
Yeah.
is weighing down on you. Like that's why I think he says some outrageous shit sometimes. Because I don't think he's that dumb when he talks. Like
No,
like
yeah.
my problem, and you bring up honestly, you said exactly how I feel, where it's like there's shit on both sides that I'm like, can you guys just shut the fuck up?
Literally, yeah.
Like, just shut the fuck up, because it's like, I think the thing I care about the most is the economy, because I think for young people like ourselves, like we need to have opportunity, and maybe I should be on Kamala's side for that with whatever this opportunity economy idea is. I don't know, but it's like what I do know is like I think Trump is the better candidate when it comes to getting our money right.
Yeah.
But then he fucking says shit, and I'm like,
Because that's the issue. You have to, like, you're voting
What
for
do
the
we do?
candidate, but you're
You know?
voting for all of him. You're not voting for
that's
like
what I'm saying.
one or
Like,
two
you're not
things.
voting
It's
for
just
pieces.
like it's
I know,
rough.
that's what's tough. So I don't know. I probably don't have a decision yet. I would never say who I'm voting for
Well,
on this
yeah.
podcast, to be 100% honest, but I don't know. That's not what I'm here to do. I think we're just here to dissect
Yeah.
the debate. The only other
about it.
thing I want to touch on close is the moderators.
Taylor
Did
Swift.
you guys think the
Yeah.
moderate? All right, yeah, and there's some afters too. I don't want to talk about like the news broadcast that I
Right.
watched after, because that's for people that like to be brainwashed and like don't know how to sift through. I'm not going to be your teacher and teach you how to watch the news, but like in terms of the moderators, like the one thing that was being said is the moderators weren't fair when it came to the questions being asked and the fact checking. Now look, could there have been more fact checking done towards what Kamala was saying?
Yeah.
Absolutely. I think if you watch that with any sense, you could have made the takeaway of, man, they're really fact checking Trump like a mother.
Yeah.
But the other side of that is like, if you're gonna use a lot of stacks and shit, like come with correct stuff.
Exactly.
Like
yeah.
you low key can't be like, they're fucking killing them babies.
And I mean, like the
And
stuff
don't get me wrong, that shouldn't need to get fact checked.
No, it shouldn't have
Right.
to.
Okay, so
But, like,
maybe
people
that is
believe
maybe
shit,
that isn't
yeah.
the best example, but like there were things where it's like if you're gonna say stuff, like people are gonna look shit up. Like,
Yeah.
like was Kamala not using as many facts? I don't fucking know. I took
Well-
so many notes and I still didn't get to write down everything. Like
The issue that
maybe
I
there
see-
weren't things that needed to be fact checked that she said, but
Okay.
the one thing that people would not let go right away.
3v1, 3v1.
I went to Fox News. Fuck it, I'll get into it. I went into Fox News to watch it right away because my takeaway was like, ooh, I think people are going to think Kamala won.
Yeah. So you wanted,
I think the majority of the people knee-jerk reaction was like, Trump lost his ground.
Yeah.
That was my takeaway. I'll say that. I think I could say that. I think it's a much more even race after this debate.
I think it literally is.
But I went to Fox News fucking right away because I was like, I gotta hear
Hear what they're saying.
what they're gonna say in response to all the people on Twitter like making fun of him having no policy about healthcare and being fact checked, and the moderators like kind of being more brutal towards him. Like they were right away saying that like if he does another debate, like it should be on Fox or it should be on CNN and like not ABC. Like, yeah, I don't know. Trump even came out at one point on like the floor
Oh, yeah.
and like
Made
started
like an
talking
address
about
a little.
like the moderators and shit, and I was like, oh my fucking god, I don't know. I thought the moderators did a decent job. Like the only thing I think you can make a case for is the fact checking. But if you really were to sit there and look at like the questions that were asked, like I don't think it's fair to say that one person got
Tougher questions.
than
Yeah.
the other. They knew who to go to first with certain questions.
Oh,
Like,
exactly. Yeah.
They were never going to ask Kamala a January 6th question first.
Exactly.
You know what
Yeah,
I mean? They
exactly.
were never going to
Yeah.
ask a race question to Kamala first because Trump was the one that made a tweet about it. And on the other hand, like they were never going to ask Trump first about abortion.
Yeah.
So I don't know.
I think the issue
I think they did a decent job.
with the fact checking is like the things that he was fact checked on were like big, like blatant, like
Yeah.
you can't let that just run if somebody
Yes,
says that
yes,
shit.
yeah.
And I think that's what it was and why it looked like it was kind of like one-sided or whatever, because Trump lied about other shit during that they didn't fact check him on, and Kamala lied about shit that they didn't fact check her on. But it was like stuff that like you, the viewer, could probably just go home, look it up yourself, and be like, okay, whatever. The fucking they're killing babies in the 9th month, like that can't run to 10 million people,
Right, 100%.
knowing that it's like
100%.
very serious and very like
And look, like I think we're using the most extreme thing that was fact checked.
Yeah.
But, like with a grain of salt. I think people should be able to see what you're saying.
Hmm.
You got anything?
No.
Nothing. You're gonna go see the dogs.
Yeah.
Make sure the dogs haven't been eaten.
Yeah. Tearing apart everything right now.
the Haitians. Ooh, I'm Haitian.
But yeah, I'll put a bow on it. So yeah, with that being said, that was our breakdown of the election. And I think if you took nothing away from this, even if you don't even get to this point, hopefully you watch the election. Hopefully you watch the debate.
Yeah.
Hopefully you're paying attention to the things surrounding the election. Hopefully you're gonna go out and vote. I'm gonna vote. Y'all gonna vote?
Yep.
I'm gonna vote. First time I'm gonna vote. I think it's
Sir.
super important. It's the most important I've ever felt.
Yeah, this is
vote.
this is our biggest. This is the one that's going to affect us the most.
I think it's a super pivotal election for our futures. But yeah, I think we just wanted to show the importance of like, yo, like we give a shit about the election.
Yeah.
Like, all right, maybe we're idiots and you might not agree with anything we said, but I don't really care. Like, I can have an opinion about it
Yeah.
too.
Just as anybody else
I
can.
think we just
exactly.
wanted to drop a bonus episode to show people like, yo, come on, tap in. Like,
It's
this is
important,
pretty
yeah.
important. Don't take what we say as gospel. It's important to watch
Form your own
clips
opinions,
and, yeah,
exactly.
form your own opinions on the topics
Do your
that
research.
you care about
Yeah.
and vote accordingly. So I think we did good. Good job,
I
gentlemen.
think so too.
I'll moderate the next one if they need one. I've been told I'm a good moderator.
Yeah.
You guys know who you are. Hopefully, if you're seeing this on release day, hopefully you've watched episode, what was it, 54?
54. Yep.
Hopefully you saw our master debater off. Hopefully you enjoyed it. If you did enjoy this or that, please make sure to like and subscribe. We're Diversity Catalog. Hopefully this reaches new audiences.
That'd be cool. Yeah.
Make sure you put good
Sick.
hashtags.
Yeah. I'll try.
You can also listen to our podcast on Apple,
Good to-
Amazon, as well as Spotify. If you listen to it there, remember to rate it 5 stars. Don't be afraid to share with your friends. You can find our social media at Diversity Catalog on Instagram, X, as well as TikTok. And with that, spread love. I got nothing else for you.